Mr. Gerry McGovern. Gerry is the founder and CEO of Customer Care Words. He is widely regarded as a worldwide authority in increasing web satisfaction. He is author of 5 books, a regular conference speaker, and the Irish Times also described Gerry as one of the 5 visionaries who had a major impact on the development of the web. He is an expert on web content management and on best practices in managing customer-centric experiences with websites. And he is also helping the European Commission in redesigning our new Europa site, which is currently under development and which will be indeed, I hope so, more customer-centric. Gerry will focus in his presentation on what it means in practice to become customer-centric on the web. Gerry? This one here? Yep. And that's the one, and here. That's great.
Thank you, Philippe. Okay, this is the core page for the World Health Organization on Ebola. So this is the go-to page. It's the essential fact sheet where they keep their most up-to-date information, where the doctors and anybody really interested and needs to get up-to-date information on the Ebola virus disease goes to. And within a couple of weeks, they had 5 million visits to this page. And they had no time to update it. They had no time to update it because the rest of the World Health Organization was desperate to publish press releases and other stuff about what we're doing about Ebola and where this person has been and what, clinic we've donated 10,000 to. And they were publishing hundreds and hundreds of things that had a fraction of the importance or the amount of visitors on this page, and they couldn't update this page. Because the transformation that we're really talking about is transforming from organizations that are obsessed and in love with themselves and overflowing with ego to organizations that actually serve and need to focus on what really matters to the customer. Because often what organizations do is they focus on their ego and what they care most about. And this is far from unusual. I've traveled the world, I've been in 40 countries or more. I've never met anybody in any organization yet that has come to me and has said, Gerry, help us become a little more organization-centric. This is the Norwegian Cancer Society. Often they say, oh, we'd love to be customer-centric, but we've got objectives and we've got goals and we've got things that we need to achieve. You know, can't all be about the customer. Right? So this society, it's self-funding, so it needs to raise money. So this was their website about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's in Norwegian, but they're all saying, please give us money. All those little banners, all those little calls to, please give us money, because if you give us money, we can help you. And it's all those nice little messages. So we went and we asked Norwegian people, what do you want from the Norwegian Cancer Society? And strangely, they didn't say they wanted to give them money. They said they wanted to know about treatment, about symptoms, and about preventing cancer. Isn't that strange? You know, that's what the public actually wanted from. That's why they were going to the Norwegian Cancer Society website, strangely enough. So they looked at this data and they said, that's interesting. And look what's at the bottom of it. All the tasks connected with donations are at the bottom. Tax deductions got 11 votes out of 22,950 cast. So all the tasks connected with giving the Norwegian Cancer Society money got hardly any votes. People wanted to know about checking symptoms and getting treatment. So they did something brave in the Norwegian Cancer Society. They actually listened to the customer and they designed a structure that focused on needs, on what people need to do. So now when you go to the Norwegian Cancer Society website, you see the top 3 cancers, and there's an interactive map of the body with the various cancers. And it's all focused on treatment and symptoms and the core cancers. You know what happened? They doubled their donations every year. since they launched it. Because I know it's counterintuitive, but if you help people actually do what they came to do, they tend to like you more and do more stuff with you. And if you help them figure out their symptoms or their treatments, they donate more. So you can achieve your objectives as well as achieving the customer objectives. And in this day and age, if you don't achieve what the customer wants to get from you, you will never achieve your objectives. So we can bring the two set of objectives together. The organization's objectives, what's good for the customer is good for the organization in this day and age. People talk about transformation and innovation. We need to be more innovative. Every time I hear that, I want to, dive underneath a desk because I know it's going to be total bullshit that's going to come out of it. Because invariably, these are the egos. We want to be innovative so that I can show off to my peers, and look, we've got all these innovative things. Well, this is the first website, 1992. Tim Berners-Lee, CERN in Switzerland. And it's text and links. And this is gov.uk in 2040. Come on, Emer, where's the innovation? Where's the transformation? I mean, for God's sake, we need more. I mean, look, they were doing that back in 1992. Where's the transformation? The issue is not about how it looks and whether we've got video or whether we've got virtual reality. The issue is whether it's useful or not. And gov.uk is a success because it's useful, because it breaks practically every rule of modern communication. There's no news on the first screen of gov.uk. You know how radical that is for government? And as Emer said, look at all the positive news they've got from that by having no news. Right. It's often counterintuitive for the organisation, the transformative process. So, saving 500 million or hundreds of millions. How did gov.uk do it? Most people in IT think that you save money by making things harder to do, by cutting services, by investing less. No, they saved hundreds of millions by investing more in what mattered, by investing in understanding the behaviour of the people who are using their systems, in creating a system of constant interaction. As Mike Bracken has often said, we focus relentlessly on users. We continuously test and evolve. And all the organizations that I've ever worked with that have been successful have used this mantra of continuous improvement based on evidence of feedback from the people who use the thing you are creating. And if it's not being used, then it is no strategy and it has no future. This is the old school, a journey to the past. Obamacare in the US, and this is classical. They launch, it's a big project, and they do the spin. They do the spin of the beautiful image, the smiling person, right, saying, I'm having tremendous fun getting health care, you should too. I mean, what sort of brain-dead communicators do this sort of stuff? And yet they do it every day of the week, right? So what happens when they launch this traditional spin? They get the head of health, Sibelius, apologises for miserably frustrating Obamacare website. Right, nightmare in cyberspace. The 6 people signed up on day 1 out of 380 million people. Right, and Barack Obama, the first time in US history, the President of the United States stood in front of the lectern in the White House and apologised for a website. Right, that's what it got. But this was one of the most interesting quotes of all. One of the IT officials, he said, sorry for problems, but system is working. Right? It might take you 24 hours to sign up. There might be 322 steps, but it works. Right? And that is often, technically, somehow, you can trudge through it. That is often what has been acceptable enough from organisations for it's working. So what did Obama do? He basically fired everybody, right, connected with it. And 6 weeks later, he brought back this. Things can transform, but the transformation is away from an organisation-centric, egocentric world to a world focused on the needs of what people actually are coming to do. So within 6 weeks to 2 months, they had a new website up with a brand new team, constantly testing, sign-up soar, right up to 2 million within a couple of months. And a study that was done 6 weeks ago tested US government websites, and it said of US government sites, the IRS is rated most frustrating, with healthcare.gov ranked as the easiest. Right? It's not impossible to make these transformations, but they are far more cultural transformations than they are technical transformations, because they were still dealing with the same basic technology 2 or 3 months later. The attitude had changed, the staffing had changed, the type of people had changed. The people were focused on customers' needs rather than on internal organizational needs. We did a study of Europe, asking European citizens and businesses, what do you want from the European Commission? Why do you come here? What do you need to do? And the top tasks were about law, about research and innovation, about funding and grants, education, strategy, environmental protection. Right? These are the things that are most important to citizens. But what is as interesting is what's at the bottom of the list. Out of 77 tasks, and initially there were 2,000 tasks, and we went into a big process to agree, well, what's the 80 big things that people want to do? And we all thought these were top tasks when we went out for the vote. But when people voted, what came at the very bottom of the list was the President of the Commission. Right? The President of the Commission got 3,000 votes out of 1,600,000 cast. Right? Because people don't care about the politics or the politicians. That's why there is a deficit of trust, because we still have organisations that are behaving like needy children, tugging the sleeves of customers, saying, but look at what we're doing for you, and look at how much we're investing. And people care less and less. And the more that we tug at the sleeves of citizens and businesses, the more they hate us. Right? There is often an inverse relationship between what is important to people and what the organisation is doing. Years ago, we did Liverpool City. We asked Liverpool citizens, what do you need from Liverpool City? And their top tasks were libraries, leisure, swimming pools, bin collections, roads, basic stuff that we need to get by on a day-to-day basis. And then we mapped these important tasks to what Liverpool City internal content people and publishers were doing. And there was an inverse relationship. There was an inverse relationship. So basically, the top task, the more important it was to the citizen, the less the organisation was doing and publishing. The less important it was to the citizen, the tiny tasks, the more the organisation was publishing. Because I often say, when a tiny task goes to sleep at night, it dreams of being a top task. And when it wakes up in the morning, it's all enthusiastic and saying, I know they don't love us, I know nobody cares, but if we only got on the homepage, and if we could only release another 15 press releases, if we bombard them, they'll have to read us, they'll have to love us. And they won't, and they don't, and they'll find a way around us. So bombarding people with telling them and messages is the old school thinking. And this, unfortunately, is the way of most organisations. The less important it is to the citizen, the more the organisation is publishing on it. The more important it is to the citizen, the less the organisation. We've got to change that metric, change that sort of focus if we really want to transform. Because what are we transforming from, and what are we transforming to? It's not a technological issue, it's a cultural change that we need to go on the journey on. Another thing that we discovered as well, and this is always the case, every time I go to an organisation, they always say, Gerry, yeah, but we're very complicated, we're very different, everything is different with us, our customers are different and our needs are different. Everybody says that. It's great because I make lots of money telling them they're not different. I always have to say the same thing for the last 20 years and I get paid more. It's a great business model. Right. So when we ask people around Europe, we say, oh, the Irish are very different from the Scottish or the Estonians. The tasks, if you see their yellow tasks, what people need, country by country, is essentially the same. Now, Luxembourg is a little different, but Luxembourg is very small. It's even smaller than Ireland, so we can probably ignore Luxembourg. But practically everybody else wants the exact same things. There's often a uniformity of need out there. We often invent and create complexity in our environments, often to justify our own existence. We create complexity, and simplicity can strip away those needs and reasons. So this is a great set of slides that the team put together about saying this is how we exist, and this is how all organisations exist. They exist in silos. There are functional reasons for silos. They can be quite effective. They can do positive things. So we're not saying about getting rid of the silos. But when we did the task analysis, and the team went out and they talked to everybody, and that was one, it's a collaborative, multidisciplinary effort, that this process, it's not about being created by one DG, it's about combining and bringing everyone together. And when people are asked, oh, here's all these tasks, like climate change, and they ask people, do you have anything to do with climate change? Do you have anything to do with these tasks? Every single task of the 77 tasks had at least one DG connected with it. And in fact, there was an average of 12 Director Generals per task. So there wasn't one task out of 77 that only one DG owned, and an average of 12 DGs per task. So whether we like it or not, these things that people need to do, there's a bit of law in the law section, there's a bit of law in the environment, these tasks are spread. So if we're going to be successful, rather than saying to the customer, well, you're going to need to go to 10 or 12 DGs to figure out this particular problem, what we need to start thinking of is, if there's a bit of law in this DG, and a bit of law over here in this one, a bit of law over here, we need to build bridges. We don't get rid of the silos, because silos have benefits and they have strengths. But we need to create far more bridges, and a far more transfer and an interaction and a collaborative, multidisciplinary environment that allows us to come together in a more seamless way, where we're focusing on the outcome of what the person is trying to do, rather than them having to figure out, well, which DG should I have to go to now? I want to finish on the idea of outcomes. I think the world is moving to a model of outcomes where we focus on how is it used, right? I don't care what you've produced. What I care is, number one, can people find it? Number two, can they use it? And how quickly can they use it? So with Cisco, we've been working for about 10 years, and we did the top tasks, and they were around downloading software and troubleshooting, configuration and installation. And this was one of the tasks that was an example of troubleshooting. So it was, pretend you've forgotten the password for the Cisco account and take whatever actions are required to log in. Every 6 months, we test this task with real people. Real customers of Cisco. We give this task to a representative sample of them, and we see, can they actually complete this task. So we focus on whether people can do the thing, rather than whether you have created the mechanics that allows them to do it. So in November 2012, when we tested it first, they had a 63% success rate. So 37% of the time, people were failing at a basic task. And the time on task, so we set a target. We said, how long should it take to do this? We agreed through analysis it should take about 75 seconds. It was taking 240 seconds. These are metrics of outcomes, right? So we looked at, why is it failing? So one of the reasons it was failing was they wanted 8 characters, alphanumeric, upper and lower case. It was quite convoluted to enter in your new password. So we said, they're not failing here, but it's slowing them down. Right? And we had 10 or 15 other points that was showing, here's what's causing failure, here's what's slowing stuff down. So we fed that back to Cisco, and they says, oh, that's interesting. Let's start trying fixing it. We won't fix it all in one go, but we'll fix a little bit of it. So one of the things that they fixed was they added a password strength indicator. Right? So they improved a couple of other things as well. So the next time we tested, right? So November 2012, we tested, it was 63. Then by May, it was 77. They had made the password strength indicator, made some changes, said, yeah, good improvement, but there's still room for progress. By August, it was 88. By December, it was 100%. But I won't show you the next one because the following March it had dropped to 75% because there was a technical issue that came back into the system. But this model of managing the outcome, measuring success based on the usage of the environment rather than the production of the elements of the environment is where I think the future goes. And as the head of Cisco.com, he said, this was all about collaboration. To get this done required collaboration from multiple IT teams, usability experts, and even content people, as he said, because you wouldn't think you needed content people in essentially a technical form type environment. But there was lots of sentences that needed to be rewritten to make them clearer and simpler. And this, if there's any role for success in the future is collaborative, it is multidisciplinary, and it is customer-centric. Thank you.